Hi, we're going to start the live stream 10 minutes early today. In fact, we're going to start it at 1:30 from here on out because we really don't need that much time to prepare, I think. So today we're going to go over the last 4 slides for the Gilded Age, and then when we come back, we're going to start the next unit over the Progressive Era. Our first test is going to have questions from this unit and the next unit. So you could just think of them together, right? Let's go ahead and begin. Oh yeah, Mariah, I'm also going to post a primary source document on Canvas for you later. Then what I want you to read, and I'll let you know when I get that up because I got a physical copy. Now I just got to get an electronic copy, and I'll let you know if there's something we want to do with that.
Did you copy this out of a book or something?
This is the actual. No, I pulled it from an online resource, but it is the actual letter.
Why can't you give that to them?
I can. I just haven't posted it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just one. It's just mine.
I thought you meant you don't have the online.
No, I didn't have time.
Then how did you get the letter?
Because I knew I wanted this, but it took me some time to find it. All right, so social issues from 1877 to 1898. So we'd already talked about quite a few social issues and like race, immigration, and stuff like that. And of course, also, the rise of the middle class, more buying power from normal people, able to have an improved quality of life and health and all these cool things. Education for a lot of people. It's on the rise for a lot of people, despite all the dark, dreary stuff we talked about. I don't want you to get the sense that if you lived back then, that the world would have just been some kind of gloomy hellscape that you couldn't escape. There actually was a lot of good stuff going on. So, immigration had a lasting effects on American culture and demographics. Good. Economic conditions and political persecution at home led many immigrants to come to America. Guess what? It wasn't all gloomy because there were so many people coming here. The rest of the world was just that much worse off. So, yay, America. All right, so though Europeans mostly immigrated to the cities along the East Coast, many Hispanic immigrants came from southern states. Yeah, we all know that. Especially as Texans. Western states had a greater source of immigrants from Asia because the West Coast is closer, right? Makes sense. This is pre-airplane, so they had just got on a boat and you went straight over. And this is also pre-Panama Canal. So the only way to go from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic is to either cut through America, like on a choo-choo train, or you'd have to go all the way around the southern coast of South America and all the way back up. And that could take many, many months. So everybody wants to do that. America was infused with cultural changes from these immigrants. One was, like we mentioned before, the growth of Catholicism. A lot of this had to do with Italians and Hispanic and Irish immigrants coming in, and some Poles. But also led to fears of loss of political power and now economic opportunities for locals. So you're going to see, kind of like today, you have political lines being drawn on the issue of immigration. And this is kind of like a particularly sore point for some because like in the South, you saw the demographics mapped down there, not that many people were born in the South. And so the Democratic Party, which pretty much ruled the South back then, was largely anti-immigrant. And so it shouldn't be a surprise because things like the KKK hated Catholics, and Jewish people. So they also didn't like immigrants. So
People just hate for no reason.
I'm sure that they say some kind of reason or other, I don't know. And in the North, of course, like where you must have the Republican Party at that time, and they were the pro-industrial party, so they were more pro-immigration because their constituency needed workforce, and they also made up a lot of people who were first, second, third born immigrants. So, it's kind of like today, people often vote in line with their interests. I can't think of anyone who votes against their interests, though some people say that others do. But I think that's because a lot of people like, I can't understand why another person would think about the problem in a different way than they do. So that's tough. That's tough. Yeah, I mean, small points here. You have push-pull factors in human migration, always. Even when it's local migration, people move to get a better job, or they move away from like one side of town because of the crime. Well, it's the same with countries. You leave your country because they're constantly having revolutionary battles or extreme poverty. I think in Venezuela right now. And so you might want to go to a place like America because there's a lot less violence and a lot more like food and stuff. Food's important. Safety's important. You have your basic needs. You need food, water, live a life away from extreme stresses and stuff.
What's cool?
Ice. Ice is pretty cool.
Oh man, I was gonna say it.
Liquid nitrogen.
Ah, there we
Like I
go.
said, the North Pole,
If I ever had to stop a Terminator, I'll need
Neptune,
that.
Pluto, Jupiter, literally anywhere out in space except for close to the sun or a star. A freezer. A fridge for that matter is pretty cool.
Liquid hydrogen.
Very cool.
Liquid rock.
Liquid rock.
Yes,
That sounds
that's
pretty
very
warm.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Quite cool.
Yeah, any noble gas that's
The only one
liquid.
that we can't freeze is helium.
Really?
Helium hydrogen.
I thought that they figured that one out.
I'm pretty sure that it has to be below absolute zero.
Below that doesn't sound like
Or at
I don't think they've
absolute zero.
even found absolute zero.
They haven't. We've
got
gotten
like 0.0006.
0.006 away from absolute zero. But like,
What would happen? Would it just cease to exist?
I think it would I don't know. I don't think we can get there.
Because I mean, yeah, it just sounds like non-existence. If
I'm pretty
energy
sure-
is in motion,
I'm
then
pretty sure it can't happen. I don't think there can be a complete
What can happen?
absolute zero. It's like when it's the point at which there's a complete loss of all heat.
Of all people?
Of all heat.
Heat?
There's not a single bit of heat energy in that place, and that's absolute zero. And we've gotten really, really, really close to it, but I don't think
Are you talking about in Texas?
no.
he's talking
We're
about like
talking about, like,
atoms and
Negative
molecules.
200 something degrees Fahrenheit.
No, negative. We're talking about
0 Kelvin,
on the
actually.
32.
scale.
0 Kelvin is absolute zero.
Well, I'm sure we've gotten there before.
Negative 200.
I don't know. Maybe like before the creation. All right, moving on. Hey, anybody want to take a guess at who this guy was?
Alexander Graham Bell.
Yeah, there he is, making his first pizza call. All right, so I forgot what the message was. He was calling one of his one of his helper buddies, and he had I forgot what it was. He said something.
You said, can you bring me a Dr. Pepper?
Maybe so.
That's what I would say.
I don't think Dr. Pepper's right. Yeah, was it? I don't know. So, hey, technology, more of that stuff. So, we have innovations with electricity. So, with electricity, production was increased due to improvements in machinery. Instead of having to worry about using steam power and water power and stuff like that, or just, blood and sweat cranking on gears, now you have electronic motors. Yeah.
Electronics.
Both figurative and non-figurative, eventually leading to assembly lines. So, like when we're
Light
talking about,
bulbs allowed for increased productivity and improved quality of life throughout the nation.
yeah, just think about this. There used to be an entire industry on making kerosene, and lamp oil for like the masses to use. You
That
still
guy
get kerosene
destroyed that
today,
industry.
but if electricity ceased to work, you couldn't just get kerosene, and it would take like gallons and gallons and gallons of this stuff to get
My
you
power
through
went out
your.
last night.
Her power went out last night. Point man. So, like light bulbs, however, save us so much in resources. Before this, I mean, like using like kerosene lamps was an improvement
I
of what
keep
our
thinking you're
ancestors
saying
had
my
used.
name.
Kerosene, no. But I mean, still, this allows people to do more and just have more of a life after the sun goes down, especially up north during the winter when like your day is like 6 hours of sunlight or less. Like
Have outlets always been a thing? Like,
the way, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they used to do
did
it
you have
back in the day.
outlets when you were a kid?
And they still look like a smiley face or like
Really?
a shocked
Well,
ghost.
my dad remembers not having outlets.
No. I've always had outlets. Yeah.
Well, her dad's also like 10 years older than you are.
He's 58.
58.
A little bit more than 10 years old.
18 years old. Your dad's technically old enough to be my dad then.
Yeah, he's older than my boyfriend's dad, and it's really
That's okay. All right. So telephone, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell. I am not going to test you over that date. Okay, I'm not.
Got it.
Same with petroleum.
I was about to say,
Wait, is
Or
that
are
a,
you just to make us?
he almost never asks.
We
for
will
dates.
have dates that
He
will
asks
be
for
important.
very, very specific dates. He'll be like, remember this one or remember this one.
You will
I
need
can't
this.
remember dates that are important. Like, I can remember the day that
16 something. 16,
Hogwarts got attacked in
What?
Harry Potter,
Which
but I
is
can't remember
Yes.
historical real dates.
It was a day that ended with Y.
what day was Hogwarts attacked?
Like 1989.
Okay. Yeah, right. So there are going to be some dates like regarding like like World War I, World War II, stuff like that. But we'll get to that later. All right.
Is that
So
really when that movie's set?
Yes.
Oh,
okay. So 1859, Edwin L. Drake struck oil, greatly aiding kerosene production, paving the way for future gasoline production. So yeah, kerosene was a really big deal. The thing is like people had known about oil for a long time. Alexander the Great's armies on his conquest into India is the first known discovery of oil, but they didn't know what to do with it. But eventually they're going to learn how to synthesize it, separate it.
so
You make
how
this
did they
different
just
products.
like discover oil? They were just like digging and they're like, oh, black liquid.
No, it's just bubbling out of the ground. Some places there are natural like low pressure geysers and stuff kind
Yeah,
of
like
bubbling out of the ground,
my
like tar.
great grandfather lives on, not my great grandfather lives on an oil rig out in,
Like on it.
yeah, in the backyard. But he found it and it was just bubbling.
It'd be nice if I had
Yeah, he's very
liquid
rich.
money pumping out of your house. My
Wait,
wife
You just
gets
like in his
$3
backyard
a
there was
month
just like
because
oil
she
and he was
has
like,
like a
ooh,
million
money.
ways split
Yes.
inheritance.
Dang, perfectly balanced. This is proof that all people are not created equal. Some people get to move on land that is just
Some
liquid
people
gold.
just like buy this piece of land and like 10 years later, oil just decides to shoot up.
That's actually exactly what happened.
All right.
That's gold.
That person
Oh yeah.
buys
Now,
it,
if you want oil, you
build
have
the
to like
foundation, but they
get
just
super deep
like solid
fracking
diamond.
oil stuff. Yeah, it's harder to get these days,
Oh yeah.
but there's a lot of it. I mean, we haven't run out yet, thank goodness.
Oh,
A
something's
diamond larger than this would be like the most expensive diamond in the world.
Yeah, what's the largest diamond in the world?
You know, like the Hope Diamond.
The
No,
Hope
they
Diamond.
actually just discovered a big.
I've seen the Hope Diamond though.
Yeah.
Because we went to DC and we saw the
How
Hope.
big
Who was
is
with me?
Well, there's a really big uncut one they just like a couple of weeks ago discovered. I saw on the news. So it's big. It's called the Big Diamond. I don't know. I don't know if they know. They didn't. It's like uncut. You know, it's still like all ugly and
The
stuff.
Hope Diamond is really cool though. Because like if you ever go to Washington DC, go to the Smithsonian, go see the Hope Diamond. It's like this big.
Ah.
And
Is that the
it's-
one
Yeah,
that's
I have
supposed to
a
get
picture of
its
it.
owner
I'm trying to
killed?
find it.
It's insane.
Mm.
Like seeing it in person, You're not allowed to take pictures of it.
How does that hurt the diamond? Is
The flash. I have a picture of the diamond that Audrey Hepburn wore.
Huh.
But
You can just imagine some rich person like, let me take this out for like a night out or something at a party.
yeah, that's actually.
well, I'm
wearing
sure
a diamond this big on your chest.
You're just like leaning over like
There's some-
Have you ever seen
there's some things with valuations, but they're like
How
even
is
with the
diamond?
valuation, it's still not the real cost.
Yeah, no. Diamonds aren't that expensive.
Well, I mean,
that's
there's
not true.
a
They're
lot.
expensive because there's a monopoly held on them by
Yeah.
the mafia somewhere,
Well,
or some mob.
it's by organizations such as the De Vere family and things like that. So yeah, there are. I guess the term you could put is like cartels that are actually in charge of most of the world's diamond supply.
Yep.
But
And
yeah, they're very
they
abundant in
control
the earth.
how
Yeah.
many diamonds go into it, which
Circulation.
raises the price.
I just want a pretty wedding ring.
They're out there.
Make friends
Would
with
you
the
rather have
hotel.
a pretty wedding ring or a pretty husband?
Pretty husband.
I don't want a pretty
Isn't that like not the quality you look for?
All right. So back to the building of America. So industry, we have industrial innovations. Yeah, steel bridges.
Is that
Yes, I'm building.
Dang, I don't remember which bridge this is. Let me see if I put a note under it.
We are bombarding you with questions today.
I didn't put any speaker notes. Okay, my bad. I don't remember which bridge this was.
Oh.
It
You're
could
not
be.
scared.
Golden Gate
The
Bridge.
London
Yeah, we'll call it the
Bridge
Golden
is
Gate.
falling down.
All right.
Not the Golden Gate.
So
Did you know there's no color in that picture?
there you go.
Well, I
There
know
you
the
go.
Golden Gate Bridge looks like, but that's not it.
It's not gold.
Well, yeah, it wasn't finished.
All right.
It's actually red, right?
It
Yeah.
doesn't have those kinds of pillars.
All right, so steel production. We've mentioned steel production before when we talked about the Bessemer process. We talked about U.S. Steel, owned by Andrew Carnegie. So we see that improvements in steel manufacturing leads to faster steel production
Where's Carnegie Hall?
and better construction.
I already asked this. It's in New York. I'm dumb.
I think it is.
It
Right.
is.
More production would be made of steel. So they're able to make things with steel. And when you make things with steel, they're more permanent. Steel is strong, but it's also slightly flexible. So whenever you build things like bridges, they have slight sway. If something's too hard, it's also brittle. But steel, on the other hand, has enough give so that if there is movement from large winds, mild tremors,
That's
things
why
like
they have
that.
to be, that's why they had to be careful when forging swords in the medieval times.
Mhm.
Because if they made the sword brittle, literally anything to hit on it just go.
Yeah, break. Absolutely, yeah. Like steel,
Sword that doesn't break.
steel has to have some. That's why it has carbon in it. It gives it some flexibility.
Yep, you need high carbon steel for a really strong thing.
I know. I watch Forged in Fire all the time.
Whoa. All right. So, steel is also necessary for transportation. I mean, rails, shipping, ships, bridges, and buildings. Because of this, you're able to make more tools out of steel, and it's cheaper. It's like I said, it's better quality steel. Stuff like that. So it's also going to impact agriculture. So like, remember we talked about farmers getting into debt because of innovations. Well, some of these things, of course, are mechanical reapers, steel plows, and steel plows are going to be able to cut very deep compared to older traditional plows. And because of that, places like the Great Plains are going to be very heavily farmed, and they're going to farm it so heavily and not really rotate the crops very well. It's going to totally wipe out the topsoil, which is going to help lead to the Dust Bowl later. We'll talk about that later.
Not
So
the devil's dust.
you're going to
My
see
grandmother looked at
ecological
us,
change.
Dust Bowl. My great
We're going to see the invention of
If your grandmother
refrigeration,
was a farmer, she would have been very sad.
especially for the railroads. Canned food will also help revolutionize agriculture. Canned food's going to be like, it's going to be like a really big deal. It's going to help out with things like military rations. It's going to help with explorers, like people who want to go deep into Africa or looking for the North Pole and stuff like that. So, of course, it's also going to increase the rates of botulism, but that's all right. They'll fix that later.
Hey, botulism.
What's the food in the military right now called?
MRE.
Emery.
Yes. Why can I never remember what that's called?
They taste amazing.
I love them.
Some of them are okay.
I liked the scrambled eggs.
Mr. Whitener
I hate
has
eggs.
like had to have our.
Mr. Whitener's like,
I can't eat a lot of them anymore because now I'm lactose intolerant. The good ones had cheese all in it. So,
I've been lactose intolerant my whole life, and I could care less. I just ate
I know you ate like half a
Sorry.
pizza.
I literally ate a half of the.
if you need to leave the
Alfredo
room, just leave the room. All right. So, the Dawes Act is
this is where the
1887.
6 foot helps.
All right. So
6 foot.
this is a separate thing.
Okay.
It helps when you're.
I need to edit this before next year because the Dawes Act should actually be moved back towards the beginning of the slide set.
$5.
Shh, guys. So, what we're going to see here is we're going to see where the Native Americans are already on reservations, right?
Right.
They don't have a lot of sovereignty in their own. They're not treated as their own nation in that they can live the way they want to, but they are treated as a separate nation, whereas our laws that protect our citizens don't protect them. So the Dawes Act was made by Congress, and it's going to divide up Indian lands into plots, and it's going to force them into more of an agricultural lifestyle. So Native American families are each going to be given their own land to be farmers. It's not choice land. A lot of it's kind of like dry, rocky land like you find in a lot of Oklahoma. It's kind of hard to do a lot of farming, right? Not a lot of soil. They're going to be, their children are going to be taken off into boarding schools, essentially. So, the government kind of raised their kids.
Is that where the Native American code talkers came from? I mean, the Navajo code talkers.
Yeah, but those are going to be volunteer. Well, not volunteer. Yeah, mostly volunteers.
What?
You never read that book?
No.
Yeah, Navajo code talkers were used in the Japanese theater of World War II
That's a really good book.
because they had a language the Japanese had no way to understand.
They knew all the other Native American languages except Navajo.
So it was pretty effective.
It's the hardest one to learn. You have to
Oh, so the Japanese knew every Native American language except for Navajo.
yeah,
Well, I knew they had a lot of languages. I didn't know they had a lot of Native American languages.
They would like send spies and they'd learn all the languages, but they couldn't learn Navajo because you had to like be born speaking it. Or
Yeah, a lot of
you can't just
well, there's a lot of Native American societies today where they'll have things like, or they just keep away from like everyday society, like religious rituals and stuff like that. Like they won't let the public see and stuff. And you can think, well, some of it is because it's just how they always were. But some of it also is because, well, they've had some hard lessons by letting everybody know what they're doing, and then they get shot and stuff like that. So, of course, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. Or whatever.
It's the old language that I've heard.
All right, so one of the reasons I included the Dawes Act is because it's usually one of those things they always ask about on the EOC. So I was like, okay, I'll include it.
Like the EOC.
Yeah, the start test.
Um,
So,
So-
yeah.
What about a one to start test?
It's actually
you're
the
supposed to.
It's against my religion. What is?
Then you
What's your religion?
tell the
No
office. But even then, like
I go
the
to the
state of
religious
Texas says you have
no
to do it.
student.
And
I
that's
miss
just the way
being
it
in a private school.
is. Okay,
God,
Why?
sorry.
I didn't take it.
There are private schools out there, but they said like they still have to take tests. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like Iowa testing, stuff like that. I mean, because they have to be accredited, or otherwise colleges are going to look at your degree and laugh. So, I mean, everybody's got to do accreditation. Hey, we did it. We finished it. We don't have to worry about the questions. All right, so that's the last one. Iowa testing is like a national testing thing where they take data from students all across America and they compare your results to other students. It's usually reading and math is what I'm familiar with. It's kind of like the map testing you do. It's very similar. The map testing that you do actually, if I remember right, pulls from some Iowa testing data, but it's kind of like an old standard. It's not like Iowa State or anything. It's that I think it's an acronym that means something. I could be wrong.
Why is it called that?
I don't know.
Engineering.
You may.
No, engineering is an E.
Yeah. There you go. All right.
International.
All right, so that does it for the Gilded Age. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this document up in Canvas so you can read it over with us. It is all the notes. Remember, your primary source document, such as this one, could end up on your test for bonus points towards that test. So make sure you read it, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, have a good one.
Should I work on my math?